It's about that time, folks, because we are back for season 3 of BMF, where we're going to give you all each and every week that recap show after that episode airs. It is your usual suspects here in Lucas. I'm Najir, and we're going to break this entire episode down. This episode is titled Detroit versus Everybody, and yeah, I see why the theme fits here, since they're going down to Atlanta, starting up a lot of trouble. But nonetheless, a lot to cover in our premiere episode here of season 3 of BMF. Happy to be back with you all as usual. Y'all already know the whole rigmarole. Get in the comments, like, subscribe, smash some things. I don't care. Just be live out here. All right, be in the chat. Go crazy with us as we ready to give you all a little bit more than an hour of content here. Uncle Lou, how's it going?
What's going on? I don't know what the hell happened to my voice right there. And we just just wanted to go out. But what's going on, people? Again, we back. BMF season 3.
Yeah.
Or AKA, as I call this episode, the wigs that Tyler Perry lost. Because clearly, I don't know what. Oh, man. Yeah, but come on, let's get into this one. This is fun.
Yeah, most like, premiere episodes, either you're getting a reintroduction or really establishing what this season's going to be. And I don't quite yet know what the arc of this season is going to be just yet, but we definitely did get a lay of the lay of the land, knowing where T's at, knowing where Meech is at, what they are both trying to do in separate locations, but ultimately trying to do collectively in terms of being under BMF. But starting off in this episode, we did get the adult versions of Meech and T, played by John Chafflin and Mustafa Harris. So we're going to Detroit in 2007, as it's being narrated that they have had a 22-year run, and they're on opposite sides of the table here in terms of what they're going to do. And if you haven't seen the BMF documentary, I mean, then, this kind of becomes that reenactment to everything that kind of covered there, talking about the Billboard and, they were rock stars and how the two of them and their philosophies were pretty different. One being flashy, one being in the club, business mind, and so on and so forth, and even to the point where we got Meech saying he's going to take the plea, and then T say he's going to trial. Anything in this introductory scene you want to cover, or anything that noteworthy here?
Meech's wig. If you've seen the doc, you knew what this was from, because by the end of the doc, when it shows how the fall happened, we know it happened because they caught T on the phones talking. And I did like the point that Meech brought that up, we here because they caught you, not because they caught me. Like, yes, I was the flashy one, but they couldn't get anything on me, and yet I'm still willing to take a plea deal here. And we see the back and forth between the brothers. Also, they bringing up that this is the first time they had communicated with one another in 2 years. Because again, if you know the doc, you knew that at one point in time when it's close to the end, lines were clearly drawn between them two. You was either with T or you was either with Meech. It was no such thing as being with both of them anymore.
Yeah. So moving to the next scene, we're at the hospital here, and T is there because this comes after the conclusion of the season 2 finale here. So we know T and Markeisha had got their whip shot up, and we knew who that was from in DC Young Fly character here. But he's there. The family shows up. They want to know what happened. Ultimately, everybody besides Charles had something they had to get off their chest here. So my man T is getting shots left and right. Just what's your thoughts about Lucille, Lawanda, Nicole coming in guns a-blazing? Probably pun intended there too. But yeah.
Hey, Lucille came in hot, Joe. The moment he said T was with Markeisha, he just like his daddy. Like he just got shot. She was caring mother to say, let me bust off a couple of these rounds on Charles so he know where we still stand at, which is a good way to start off things, because you see the whole family still throughout all the turmoil. You come to check on T, But here you see Lucille still let you know, oh no, it's on site with Charles. Like, nah, Joe, I'm gonna compare you to my son getting shot up because he just like his daddy cheating. That's why he getting shot at. And then his
Wildness.
girl or Lawanda, Jesus, she came in like, man, I wish she died. Like, that's a fucked up thing to say to somebody in that situation. That's what your ass
Oh.
get. But the emotion of her saying it is so real because that's actually how I would expect if you've been with somebody, have them pregnant, have a kid already, and then you step out and really never establish that I'm leaving you, and then this happens. What woman ain't gonna say, I'm glad you got shot at? Maybe your dumb ass gonna learn a lesson. Like, it was so much emotion in that scene, but it was needed because we need to see the weight of everything that's affecting her now with T, and the way T is just moving on without necessarily closing off that other relationship. So I did like the whole scene between the two elder women in this scene. But when it came to Nicole, it's just that sisterly love of saying, like, Meech is gone. I can't lose you too. Like, that was her primary thing is Meech is in Atlanta, you're here. I can't have you get shot up and then you're gone. Cause then I'm left with all these crazy niggas. And I don't want to be left with them. Like, I can't stand being left with them if you're not here. So again, it was just a lot of emotion from everyone besides Charles, basically. Charles kept the moment Lucille fired that shot, he kept his mouth shut. He like, well, son, you on your own. Ain't nothing I can say, buddy.
Yeah, moving on to the next scene, we get Meech. He's in Atlanta, and this is interesting because we see a shot of Magic City. If you've ever been to Magic City, I'm going to tell you something that the show tried to do with some trickery here, but you're not going to fool me because I spent some good American tax dollars down there at a point in my life. But Magic City, because Meech was sit here by Goldie, and we meet my man Neo, who is playing the character Greenie, who seems to be the plug, respected by Goldie, which we know what's up with Goldie. And if Goldie respects you, then you should have some level of credibility to you. But you know, Meech is looking to set up shop. He's also just getting the info about T and Markeisha, and also, you know, kind of telling his brother, you know, much like he told me, calm down before you make moves. First things first, I know y'all hate when we tell our stories, but I'm just gonna say Neo being a part of this is because, again, when we went to the premiere, everybody who was anybody that was there ended up being in the show. So
man, everybody's in this episode.
Yeah, although Little Baby wasn't there, but Little Baby's in it. But I mean, he's hot, you know, especially when this was filmed. He's one of the hottest rappers at the time, so it makes sense. That felt more like more of a PR move to bring in one of the hottest artists on your show to obviously generate some. And although we haven't seen him yet, but you know, just knowing that everybody else that showed up at that party, we'll definitely see him
episode
soon.
1.
Yeah.
Only one we missed was G Herbo. G Herbo, like, that's it.
Yeah.
He was getting new teeth though, and he was fucking with Funny Marco around this time, so he was a little busy too.
What's your thoughts about Neo making his BMF debut as Greenie, and are you buying into the character, and where do you think this character is going to go?
No. I would say by the second scene, I was buying more into the character. First, I had to get past that 5 Heartbeats wig he had on, Joe. Like, that, Joe, it just threw me off. Like, I saw it, I said, oh, that's an interesting hair choice to go with there. But you got to realize what point in time we are in Atlanta. Like, that niggas dress like that in this point in time. So it's like, okay, it threw me off a little bit, but the conversations him and Meech had, that's what worked for me. When Meech was trying to nickel and dime him, talk about when he said, no, it's 15. And Meech was like, how about, what is it, 5 now, 10 later? He said, nah, how about 15 now? And 10 always. Like it was him laying down the law to Meech that this is not a situation where you can nickel and dime your way into it. If you want this, and it's set up by somebody who I got respect for, who I trust, who told me I did, or who vouched for you, this shouldn't be an issue. We shouldn't be nickel and diming here. And I love that introduction of it because you understand from the beginning as much as like when Snaps and Pops was introducing Razor Kanan, that you're possibly dealing with somebody who's going to be extremely funny at times, but extremely serious about their business. And that's a good introduction to have for this character because it's Neo. You know, R&B singers don't do good on these shows normally. So he coming in hotter than Jeremiah did in the show he was in, or only one he's still behind is my guy Lil Zane. Like, but like this is a good introduction.
You just call Lil Zane an R&B singer?
I mean, didn't he sing?
No, he was a rapper.
He was on Anywhere. So to me, everybody on Anywhere was singing. I know he was rapping from the bedroom to the floor, all that shit. But nah, that's an R&B song.
I'm definitely interested in seeing what Neo does with this character. Let's take all personal thoughts about R&B artists or his songs or anything that he represents. You know, because Champagne Nights. Listen,
Champagne Life.
Right. Yeah. That gets Uncle Lou and his whole crew. Yeah, I know. You ready to throw on? Yep.
Hey, that was my whole bag back in the day. Y'all just don't know.
Listen, some folks take ecstasy. The old folks take that song and they on a whole nother platform with that.
Two-step my way into infinity off that Joe. Hey, you don't understand.
Hey yo, when I see my cousin when the song come on, when I see how my cousin turned into another person, I was like, I never want to get old. Like the power of that song, how it takes over us. It's like, you know, when you hear that what's that one song? Wobble. When you hear Wobble, and you know there's a certain weight group that's gonna be like, oh snap, they start moving like they running backs out here. Let me move.
Don't say that. We were at Razor Kanan party. They hit Wobble. Everybody was wobbling. Everybody was out there. I'm telling you.
Oh man, so Greeny now says, all right, listen, if you're digging what's here at Magic City, let's go to Platinum Palace. I don't know this to be a real place, but I do know one thing. This is definitely Magic City on the inside. So I thought that was interesting that they went from Magic City, a known place, and then went and threw another label on something and just went back to Magic City. But nonetheless, this is what you expect. And this was important too, because Meech getting the lay of the land in terms of how the strip clubs move. He said those are ball players, you know. They have a certain celebrity to them. They also have a certain credible money line to them, you know. And yes, I get you, and you're a dope boy, and da. But understand that everybody plays a part. This honestly is the creation of that triad of rappers want to be artists, rappers want to be athletes want to be trappers want to be rappers, all that thing. This is where it created, right here in Atlanta, where this whole obsession of each other, because you have to say, Meech says, my money's long. Why ain't she hollering at me? Because the girl he wanted went to the athletes. That's going to start to create this level of envy, and everybody's looking across the board at everybody. So I thought it was really cool that they kind of gave us like a little educational briefing in terms of who's the players in the strip club and how it kind of moves and operates with. So then after this, we get introduced to some other folks. And with those other folks, we meet Stacks, played by my man 2 Chainz, also at the party. And then
and they gave him Snoop's wig from last year. as the pastor. Same wig. I know that wig.
Yeah, you're not lying there. What did you think about 2 Chainz? Well, I guess we can hold off on 2 Chainz because there's not much here.
His character really, everything gets exposed a little bit more in the couple of scenes after this one with him.
Yeah, but we do know his relation too, because when Meech saw the chain, he's like, wait a minute, how'd you get that? And this makes this sort of this commonality between the two of them. Like, hey, that was my boy. He's like, that was like a nephew to me. Yeah, so, you know, once they find out about Ty Chain and how it's kind of moving around, you know, and it's odd to me because, I don't know, they look over and they say, oh, there go Remy, the person that shot and killed him right there in the club. And Meech is
the first the way person it works, too.
It is. It absolutely is. did you pull anything from out of this scene besides, Meech being the first to throw the punch, and or is there anything that to kind of make from it? It's a conversation between Meech and Stacks and the crew and everybody all getting acquainted?
Not much here, except for you saw that Stacks was still a little standoffish towards Meech.
True that.
In that introduction, he was still standoffish. Like, okay, you may be this person, and I think it comes from, as he said, that was his niece. So when Meech told her like everything will be all right, but then we see Stacks saying, I had to step up and help and support. That lets us know that Meech really wasn't able to do that right then and there. I think he assumed he would be able to. But other than that, there's not much to talk about. This scene is really just setting you up to understand how all the players move in this city, how the strip clubs move in the city, because that's the important part for anybody who's never been to Atlanta. And at this point, if you have not been to Atlanta, how? Like, how it's really possible. But for people who haven't been, and the way at this point in time and years ago, I don't think it's the same way now. The way the strip club culture worked down there, like everybody went there. So you could beef with a dude, shoot out somewhere, and y'all can end up in the same club later on that night.
True that, yeah.
Catch a fair one all over again, and that's what happens here. It just sets up Remy as a big threat, and that's what we needed to see. Okay, now that Meech is in Atlanta, who would be that other person to come up to be a threat towards him? And This is helping establish him as a bigger threat for Meech.
Yeah. Facts. And all this happened before the title screen here. So going to that now, we get to the studio, and this is where everybody from back at the club, they're all together. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do about the weight. Mm-hmm. And the biggest issue is because Meech has a plan. Stacks ain't really buying into it, but ultimately they need the link to Ty's network here. But Meech said, I got the weight coming from Detroit, and once I get here, that's it. We just need to be able to get it out and distribute it. So we need Stacks to buy in, since he now is the heir to Stacks' what he left behind here. But going to the hospital, there's a bunch of little hospital scenes that we're not going to spend too much time on. But Markeisha waking up, and T promising to make good on the hit that happened from Saint.
He always promised. Hold on, did we skip the part with T went off? No, he ain't go off yet. That was funny. But T's always making promises to Marquis. This is more promising nigga, Joe. I'm telling you, he made promises to every woman he deals with.
Nah, he definitely gives you car salesman. Like, my man gonna make sure one way or another he gonna get you in that Hellcat, even if you got a 30% APR. That's right.
It's 2024. You getting 48%. 48% for 140 months.
Yeah. But we get the projects, Techwood, and this is where we see Remy, who is the Black Robin Hood. So I like this because we always talk about the hood dude that gives back to the kids and whatnot. So we get that, but at the end of the day, we also get a little bit of history here, because this is a project that was tore down because of Atlanta getting the 96 Olympics. So this is taking us back and when they won it in 90 and so on. But also, this is something I had no clue about. The Red Dogs. Like, who's that?
Oh, buddy.
I did not hear anything about this. I didn't know anything about this, but I quickly did look it up. Plus, we got the information about it. Is that this was a task force, essentially, that was put on the streets to get of all of the gangs that's kind of going down. They was very familiar who Remy was, and they ain't digging him being Robin Hood, giving these kids candy. He wasn't drug. He wasn't putting anything else. He just trying to take care of the kids and whatnot. What was just your whole thoughts about the projects, the dynamics and conflict within it? And then Remy, man, is he a bad guy? Do you not mess with him, or are you respectful what he do?
No. I'm never. Come on, let's get this right here. I don't care how many sandwiches, how many lunches you give out. You're still selling drugs to that community. Like that, it is what it is. You're a drug dealer. You don't sell drugs because drugs sell themselves. You offer drugs to people in a way. But nonetheless, you're doing things to destroy your community, but you're still trying to help the kids out. And you're trying to give positive messages. I'm all for that. And anyone who grew up in these circumstances, you've been around dudes who moved weight, but they were still nice to the children, because everyone's nice to kids until you grow to a certain age and you got to pick a side. But What's more important here was to show people the Red Dogs. I knew about them. And if you've seen any documentary about the Olympics and the lengths Atlanta went to make it seem like it was the most peaceful city in the world by just destroying anybody who would think about doing stuff illegal. And then you get the history of the Red Dogs. It sounds a lot like the history of what's my folks from Baltimore from We Own This City. I forget the name of that task force, but it's very similar to the
force, Gun Trace Task
Force. Yes. They're very similar to one another. And this is a unit that just got disbanded, like what I want to say maybe 10 years ago. And then they came under another name. They got disbanded like 4 years ago. And now they're under a completely different name, but it's literally the same exact thing. And this is in Atlanta still to this day, where I mean, the goal is just to, by all means, destroy drug dealers. But this is another obstacle you have to show, because for Meech to have done what he did while this task force was in full strength also makes it a very interesting story. So here you introduce Remy and show him that he's also a drug dealer with a heart, because you need a drug dealer with a heart, because Meech has one too. So you don't want to draw parallels where he needs to be Lamar, where he's just completely evil. Instead, you showing someone who's just as positive as Meech is with kids and selling drugs. But yet now you get the Red Dogs in play here. And I think they're going to become a bigger force than anybody this season, because again, this is setting up that the Olympics supposed to be happening with Atlanta here. Yeah. And the lengths they went to, or that any city goes to when they get to the Olympics, they're going to do whatever they got to do to prove that they're clean and that they're fine and that everything is safe in their city. And we knew this was not the case at this point in time in Atlanta.
Yeah. Makes you wonder just how bad Brazil was. The fact that they was just like, so no, yes, but no.
South Africa, all the if you have a World Cup, if you have an Olympic Games, anything where the world is about to pay attention to you, boy, is your city gonna get cleaned up quick. Because I think what Chicago was up for the Olympics, and clearly they kill niggas like Skittles there. So you do understand, like, if you get a U.S. city that gets Olympics again, it's going to be horrible. Like, they're going to do whatever. That city has to look perfect. That's my fear about Washington getting the Olympic Games, man. The fuck?
It is. Well, that ain't happening.
They got enough stadiums. They building one every week. Yeah, so like, and they're making plays for them. But again, this just shows this time period in the 90s where they just felt they could put this task force out and just do whatever the hell they wanted to do, because who was going to stop them from doing it? No one.
Right. So back at the Flenory home, Charles out here, just like his son, promising everything gonna be okay, and Lucille eating it up. Well, at least we thought she was, because she says, I'm moving forward with that divorce, and she made it very clear, you ain't the man in this house no more, and you can go somewhere else. And I can't afford to go nowhere. Well, that couch is for free. He out here trying to swindle his way back into the bedroom, and Lucille standing 10 toes down. Probably nothing to talk about there, so we'll just keep moving forward. Yeah. We go to the jail. Detective Bryant sees his son in jail. This all he's doing is stirring up a little bit of hatred towards Terry. So we'll obviously see that probably come to play more next episode, but we'll see. Back at the office, though, we do get Detective Jen, who's pissed at Brian because of everything he did, which ultimately got her in trouble. But as he said, and well, if there's one thing about this episode, everybody promising. He says, I promise I'll make this right. But we will see. Next thing is the music stop, the BMF headquarters in Detroit. Hoop is there, and Hoop is making it clear that he's going to rock with T, even though that Meech is gone. Meech is calling for the wait, so they're going to figure out how to get that down there. And T is kind of like, hey, even though he's gone, he's still out here making, calling shots, trying to make sure everything's here is happening. But I think that's going to be part of the theme of this episode of this season, is seeing how the two brothers are. We ain't gonna say coast to coast yet, because they will, but from city to city here, just seeing how they operate in the tandem. Mm-hmm. K9, who's arrested, snitching, so it's clear, but he didn't snitch on any of them. Interesting that K9 decides to be proper snitching.
Proper snitching. You snitch on the people who you want to get in trouble. But
Yeah,
people who you
exactly.
like, nah, that's my dog. I'm not snitching on him.
Yeah. But yeah, Terry running things now, and his eyes is on Saint. That's his whole plan. But back at the police station, we get introduced to Detective Jen's new partner, Detective Amberson. They have sort of been given the scraps here because now they're going to be they are being told to go question Terry's side piece, which is Markeisha in jail now that she's woken up. And they did mention of all the names that K9 gave up, he did not give up them. So, that clears that. Don't have to worry about the feds on them, which makes the whole thing with Terry coming from Detective Brian
Even more.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because he should not be in their scope right now. But Detective Timmons or GQ seems to be one of those, like, I don't know. What do you think about that character? Actually, yeah, we got not two new characters. Yeah, one new character, and the character seems to be getting a little bit more attention this season already.
Hey,
GQ and Detective Amberson.
You get that cop that's really feeling himself. Like they ain't did none of the work, but they get to take all the credit for it.
Yeah.
That's GQ. He was like, yeah. Like, but he did say something very interesting. Of like, one fuck up doesn't make up for 20 attaboys, which is true. Like, that's all it takes is one time for you to fuck up. And then that's gonna be it. No one's gonna remember all the great that you did. They're gonna remember that one time you fucked up. And that's why they're in the situation they're in. But I was more interested that they partnered two women together. Yeah. This is still like the 90s, women cops in the 90s.
Like, I mean, that's why you got them doing like the scrap work, Yeah,
like that. It really shows the respect that they have for them, that they teamed them up with one another. Because that means you're not doing it. Except for Cagney and Lacey, no women cop in the 90s did anything. Those were the only two that did something. So if you were women tandem cop in that time period, you got the worst jobs humanly possible. Like go there and talk to his side piece and find out what's going on.
Yeah. Y'all women.
Y'all
women. She a woman. So do some women things. Pretty much what you say.
Talk about y'all periods and see if that works.
Yeah.
Like, this is the way men thought in that time period.
Yeah, and also, I mean, Amberson didn't quite deviate from that script. She definitely wanted to know, like, what's it about him? Is it the sex? And kind of like Markeisha,
The moment she said, "Is the dick that good?" You are detective. I'm gonna need you to come up with a much better question than that.
We go back to Atlanta.
Hold up, when Markeisha said every inch of it, I think she said, "Oh damn." Like, you are a detective. Like, is that the end of your inquiry there?
Oh,
like,
my goodness.
He's not going to ask any more questions than that.
Yeah, go ahead. Listen, you know how you wild for the prediction. How soon to Amberson's in Terry's bed?
Hey, because clearly Markeisha just let her know you're never supposed to talk about your man to another woman. Damn that she gave at the end, let you know she want it now. She need to find out about T. So give her 4 episodes.
You know what I'm just thinking about really quick, randomly? Of all the star power that we got in season 2, and even before, it seems like they got a clean slate here. We don't have Snoop back. Leslie Jones isn't back.
Because she wouldn't be later on, I'm assuming.
Yeah, right. Obviously losing Monique. This is definitely a turning of the page of casting. Maybe this is a smart way of being able to allow them to storytell with a substantial budget. And
then you can also just maneuver those characters in and out throughout the seasons.
Yeah, I mean,
although we've already established them.
Right. And actually, we'll talk about it in one quick second, the reason I brought that up. But back in Atlanta, they're working the plan. Rip, who's an artist there that, Meech talks about. This is funny. I ain't gonna even say it.
I thought that was.
Me too. He says he's an artist. He believes in him. He has no business being on the streets if he gonna be able to spit like that. Who, Blue Da Vinci or?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's immediately what I thought. I said, "Oh, Blue Da Vinci."
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
It ain't the other artists that people associate with him because he got it for 17.5. So clearly he was in the streets.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, maybe Blue or Or maybe this is just showing Meech's the way he admired rappers and that he had an ear for talent.
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm getting at. Either this is the beginning of us understanding that he actually had a level of appreciation, respect, or acknowledgement towards it. Talks about his dad and whatnot, having a music store. So maybe this is, or does Rip become a composite of Blue Da Vinci and Jeezy, and they're going to like run some story with some moments.
They better put Blue in this joint.
No, they're not.
Blue got a very interesting story.
Blue already told 50, don't play on his name.
He said, "Don't play on his name." That don't mean you can't mention me, but you ain't gonna play me sideways. Do
you think they're gonna reference Blue Da Vinci at all in this?
You got to. Especially later on in BMF's run, you got to bring up Blue Da Vinci. Because literally, they attempted to launch a record label with Blue Da Vinci as the only artist. You gotta talk about him.
Yes, they will. Will they have a composite character? Yes. Will they actually name him? I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. That's gonna be funny if they do. I would love to eat my words on that one. But anyway, get the phone call, Meech and the PAs, and Meech is telling, listen, my brother, he can't be the one to pull the trigger, so you need to figure that out. Let him, and smart, rightfully so. He is the one to ensure that he's his brother's keeper, and he can't have his brother out here pulling the trigger when he ain't about that life. So that's what it is. But back at the Flenory home, Lucille making it very clear that everyone knows their business, and I thought that this was the funniest. I'm not even sure what the terminology for this is called, but this is the funniest, maybe mockery of the church, where she says, I didn't sign up to go to the house of gossip. That ain't what the Lord's house is for. Well, you need to tell a lot of people, like a very lot of people, that is the thing. But she says she wants a new church because she wants a fresh start, which this is how you write off Pastor Swift? Is this the way of doing so, by going to a different church?
Because if you don't go to his church, will we ever see him again?
Yeah,
there's no need to it.
Will we need to? That's a very, it's a very.
So I think that is the way that they move forward from Snoop's character, is by her saying that she needs to go to a new church. Again, it was just hilarious her to say, like, they all talking about us. It's church. What else do you expect them to do?
Listen. Don't act like when you were younger you didn't realize how much gossip was in the church. It took a couple of times for your. Oh, for sure. But you think as a place of holiness that you think that the Christians are on a pedestal of betterment.
I knew a lot of those Christians when Sunday wasn't there. So some of them same Christians that was with them church hats on, and I would see them Friday, Saturday night. It's clearly
when you were a kid, sir.
You ain't holy all week, baby.
Not when you were a teen.
No, when I was a kid, I've been going to the same church since I was 12. Okay. I've seen some things. I've seen people out and about. I've heard that mouth when you're not praising the Lord on Sunday service. So they talk about people. It's normal.
Yeah.
So, but I think for Lucille, it's just the embarrassment factor of it all, because she gossiped in church. Yeah, she did it. So it was just that now that her family is the point of contention, that she's like, we can't go to that church no more.
Yeah,
because they can't be talking about us, talking about my sons. They know you slept with that hussy because she there. Pastor Swift made me pay for my meal after I wouldn't give him some. We got to go. We got to go.
Oh man. So Roland pops up, and he's bringing the steaks. He getting the right flowers and everything, because my man walked in because he got a key. Yeah, and I listen. Meech is right by having his boy watch his family's house and holding them down and so on. So. Dope business there. I thought it was funny because Charles, I walk him out and whispers, I don't care what they're saying on the streets. This is my house. My house. He couldn't even say it loud because Lucille was right there. It's your house, huh? Your house, huh?
Wasn't your house when you was sleeping with that bitch. That's all. That's all she was waiting to say. But it was just a funny moment of him letting Roland, like, hey, give me this damn key. Which is, I thought it was funny that he just walked in. Not like, let me ring the doorbell, let me knock on the door.
Yeah.
He just popped, like, that's a bold move. to pull
Yeah.
off, to just walk into somebody's house that way. Even though
Yep.
you're sent there by Meech to make sure his mom is fine. That's still a bold move not to knock first.
Yep. Back to Atlanta. We got the deal happening with Stack. So we got 25 a brick. So he's getting a discount here because he usually charge 30. So that makes Stacks feel good. And you listen, after that, they were solid. Say, now we ride together. But then the plan comes into place because he says, listen, now that he went for the discount, you know, we got him locked in, but we're gonna need him. And we also know if the price gets out for what I gave it to him for, we're gonna know it came back from him. So this is a little bit of a filler going on as they get the plan into place. But we get back to the hospital. This is the interrogation of the women cops and Marquisha asking about Boom. But then Marquisha being able to put together that the picture that they had of him and how he got back was because of the Fed. So Marquisha holding it down. We already talked about that. We get the meeting for the product here. And this is a couple of different things happening here. First of all, we get Dice showing up, picking up stuff. And with Dice picking up stuff, you know, first, I guess the first thing is understanding that what happened with I would keep want to call them Robin Hood guys. No, I'm sorry.
Remy.
Yeah, Remy. So yeah, first of all, yeah. So it does the pickup here, and wait, I'm getting my scenes mixed up here. No, this is where Dice is picking up about what's happening, telling them about Remy and whatnot. And with that, we get that Rip gets the page. And so this is just one move to the next real quick. That's what I'm like, wait, what happened is I'm combining the two scenes together. But nothing big there, not yet. But we go back to because now that they got the product from Detroit, they're all good. They're making the moves happen. Getting everybody right that need to get right. But they go back to the music store, Hoop and T. You know, they just having a little moment together. They're doing real good. The money's all counted up. They're talking about this. We had great memories here, but it's time for a new place. And he lets them know that like the boys got Sterling, excuse me, lets T know that the boys had eyes on Sate. So he's like, we're ready to go. But he says, nah, it's already been taken care of. You the top dog, you don't get dirty. What's your thoughts about Sterling and the PAs going forth and taking care of this by way of Meech authority and T sort of just being cool with it? What was sort of your assessment of everybody from how this all kind of played out?
To me, it makes sense for T not to be the person to do it. If you're the head boss, the last thing you're supposed to be doing is pulling the trigger. You have people under you to do that. And I think that was the point that Meech was making. Like, nah, one, T is not built for that life. Two, Sterling presented it perfectly. You're not supposed to be the person doing this. Like, if we ride with you and we're defending you, we're supposed to do that. Like, you're the head dude here, man. Everything should be on our hands. None of it should be on yours. And you see that he had to reassure T that, like, hey, no one's going to know that you didn't do this. Because that's not the way I do business. Like, it's all going to be on you. And the street's going to know it's on you. Even if we know it wasn't, that's not the way it went down. And that's the way for them to build complete trust. Yeah. I think he's still having a problem with trusting people because he still thinks they're all Meech's people.
Yeah.
But here was a step being taken to show, like, I got your back. Don't worry about it. And they're still going to think it was done by you because I don't need to have credit for this. But I understand you need to have the credit for it. So again, I mean, this is, you will hope it would lead to the maturation of T as a leader, of him understanding the things he should and shouldn't do, and that your hands don't need to touch everything, but you need to be aware of everything. So it was great that he told him, but even better for him to say, hey, this ain't for you though. Like, we got this handled. I'm just letting you know that we caught up with him, with Saint. Every time I hear Saint, I think of Lil Saint from the movie with B2K. Didn't they shoot Lil Saint? Oh. They did shoot Lil Saint. That's the first thing that popped in my head when I heard Saint. Like, damn. Man, killed Lil Saint all over again, Jeff.
You don't think about, I don't know, just that whole show that we covered for multiple years.
Not Franklin.
Yeah.
Nah, because you didn't kill Franklin Saint.
I know, but like the
Yeah.
name don't make you instantly
No,
think of
nope.
nephew.
Lil Saint. Went right to Lil Saint. Immediately
Okay.
to Lil Saint. That's immediately who I went to. I don't know why. I don't even
Okay.
know remember the name of the movie, but I remember Lil Saint died. Was it Stomp the Yard? That's not Stomp the Yard, is it?
I don't
What's the
remember.
one with people out there? Let me know. What's the movie with B2K in it? That Lil Saint died. Stomp the Yard is when Chris Brown died because he slid on his elbow. I remember that.
Was it not Drumline or
Nah,
B2K? No. Oh,
nah.
you're
Drumline
right.
is
You're right. You're right.
yeah.
Yeah. Which one was it? Uh, uh.
How did we not remember this during Black History Month? You got served. God damn it.
You got
You got
served.
served.
Yes.
You got
Yes.
served. Yep.
Not
When
on
they
my
danced
top
in the
anything,
rain.
but yeah.
That's when I remember when they danced in the rain because Lil Saint died. Like it's a whole scene. But that's what I thought
Oh
of with
man.
Saint was Lil Saint, not Franklin Saint.
All right, let's move to the next scene now. So now that they're making moves now because after Rip got the pager, Rip walking across the street and he gets shot because not only is Remy boys out there, the MKs is out there too. So Remy boys get shot. The MKs are letting it rip with the AKs. But before they can get out of there, they had to grab the bag.
We ain't gonna
And
talk about
Lil
that scene. How he got
and
that
Rip was,
bag back.
you
Nigga.
gotta do what you gotta do. Rip gets shot, but he's all right. Spoiler. But anyway, going back to Techwood, the projects, the AKs, they find out that that there was AKs that was being used, which equated to it being the MKs, and then Remy said, I'm gonna take care of the families and everybody because he's Robin Hood. Back at the studio though, Meech is like, listen, we need an alliance with the MKs, so hopefully we can get a meet with Glock at the strip club. We can, make a play because Detroit is here to stay. Going back to the jail, we see Lil Kevin going to juvie because he's going away. Had to take his comments and his pencil. It's a wrap for my man. He doing hard time. He gonna do 30 years
About
in
to
juvie.
become a monster. Like Lil Kevin is the prime example of someone who goes to jail and should never be let out again.
Yeah.
He gonna spend about 30 years in there and he gonna be killing niggas left and right for comic books. Like, did you
but he did get a very valuable lesson that people do not like people who ask a lot of questions. So, I don't know if this fully prepares him for what's to come, but he did. He probably gonna have needed to know that. He gonna have need to know a little something.
Yes, you need to know when you're going. No, but he's going to juvie, which is prison junior. But like, just knowing, like, you don't need to talk that much to people. Like,
yeah,
it's better to be quiet.
Lil Kevin is innocent.
The softer they see you.
Yeah,
he's not innocent. What you mean? No, he murdered somebody. So he's not innocent, okay?
He murdered his bully.
Dude,
if he if he wasn't black, self-defense, he would have been good. He'd been good.
Can't do the time, don't do the crime.
Ain't that one lady the one lady who killed the guy who not only was abusing her son, but essentially abused her too, also went to jail just for them to release her like a year or something later. Like,
Lil Kevin can't even do a year though.
He's done. He's done. Oh, he's done.
Come out Keisha. Like, you gotta be very careful.
He gonna come out Keisha. I'm moving on to the next scene. So Marquisha's up. Doctor says she can go home now. And then he mentioned that Saint ain't gonna bother us no more, and all she cares about is that they're safe. So they're in love. But going back to the Flenory house, Marquisha also comes home because she comes to the Flenory house. And while they had did all this, why they did all this prayer and all this good gestures about the food they got, and they feeling like a family, my man brings her home is the wildest thing ever. But while the exchange of words between Lawanda and Marquisha happens, then Marquisha, standing 10 toes down about how they in love. Mom dupes. Lucille may say, no, you gotta stop all that lying, man. It's ungodly. He questioned the ungodliness, but then Terry ultimately said he's getting his own house, he's moving out, etc. Nicole says, well, am I gonna get his room? She says no, but your father What did you think of this whole scene? Because these are starting to become some of the best scenes so far in this season.
This is the wildest shit I've ever seen. He literally brought home Marquisha to that house. Like, hey, she just need a place to stay. Like I can't even call her your girl no more, but your ex that you ain't established as your ex ain't there with your baby and pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that is a wild thing for him to even have the guts to do this for one night. You telling me we can't get a hotel room for one night?
All that money they got,
somewhere else.
The hotel that they had before where they got caught in, and this is what they do. He wild.
Exactly.
He definitely wild. But listen. It not only is it reckless, it's a statement being made that he is definitely in love with this girl. He does not care. He would disrespect his mom's house.
Well, it's not
you
even
don't do
disrespect
that.
His mom. It's disrespecting Lawanda. He's like, fuck you.
No. Listen.
It ain't his mama though.
Dudes don't got a problem disrespecting another woman, but the last thing you need to do is disrespect your mama's house. Your mom is crazy. You ain't bringing no. What's the word they use? The older folks.
Heifer. Hussy.
It's heifer, hussy. There we go. You don't bring no hussy without knowing what's going to happen. He gonna be in church on Sunday. I can guarantee you that.
But you see what Mama did though. What Mama said? Take her up to Terry's room.
Yeah.
Like, Mama got her son back no matter what. In the end, no matter how dirty you are, your mama gonna have your back over anybody else.
Hey, Charles in another light with it, like, you think I could do that too? You know, since we not together no more. Like, Charles, get your ass out of here. I think bring Mabel in here. You better not. You know what's funny? Lucille probably was allowing the disrespect just because of the fact she's so much more mad at Charles. Charles is so under the doghouse right now. Ain't nothing anybody else can do to make her feel any type of way that Charles ain't already did.
Again, it was more disrespectful to Lawanda that they walk in that house together.
It's definitely disrespect.
Crazy.
Yeah.
She's still pregnant. Like, in the end, Wanda's still pregnant with your child.
Yeah. And I love Sydney Mitchell. She's doing a really good job and really like evolving this character. So I like, even though that she's pregnant and pissed.
Her lies are sick. When she said, "Damn, wish they'd have killed you." You said that to her face. Oh, you said that to her face. You called her old bitch and everything. Like, she is heated. Yeah. But again, it just shows the dynamic that needs to be shown of the person that Terry is. That he would actually do that. Yeah. It shows that he does not like confrontation, in all honesty.
Yeah.
He's doing all this because he doesn't want to have a tough conversation.
Yeah.
Like, the tough conversation should have been when she got pregnant. Like, hey, you can have this baby, but we not together no more.
Yep. But that's him, man. Always avoiding the confrontation by any means necessary.
Yep.
But going to the next one, Detective Brian outside of juvie smoking, puts the cigarette on Terry's picture. Well, that's metaphorical for him looking to take Terry down, and that's his whole focus, because he's gonna blame Terry for his son using his gun to shoot somebody and not standing
shoot a bully that he paid no attention to his son had the entire time.
Yeah,
he was getting his shoes taken and everything else. And he paid no attention to it.
Telling you, credibility is a crazy thing, but whatever. So we get Amberson and Jen. They show up to Saint's house. Saint is dead. They talk about the fingerprint kit. But with that being said, sending Amberson out away from the scene, Jen takes some weight, a lot of weight. I think we're seeing her. Yeah, maybe three Brits. But we see her possibly going down the road that we've known this character to have hinted at a couple of times. We know we had some self-harming, but she also had a past. And from our time from speaking to Kelly Hugh, we knew that like this character was definitely going to evolve into something that they gave us little sprinkles, little tidbits about. Going to see how that comes into question with her taking those bricks. But getting back to the music store, it's a party now. T is getting awarded for the handling the Saint, so he's living a lie. Niggas gonna be niggas, not knowing what calamari is. And they talk about moving forward from here because now they got a new spot. They're gonna have a restaurant. Meech calling T having that conversation about the highways connecting everywhere. So it's just nothing but Meech once again talking about expanding, and T just sort of just saying, "All right, it is what it is."
We'll do what you need to do.
Yeah, so we're gonna do what we do.
Calamari and charcuterie boards get niggas every time. It's the two that get niggas every time, Joe.
Hey, chill, bro. Chill,
Hey, I ain't lying. That's why I said that, Joe.
Hey,
I ain't
yo.
lying.
Hey, yo, that's
Black
funny
folks
as
just
hell.
learn that niggas is just learning what calamari is like 2
Yep.
years.
Yo, you're funny as
And
hell.
charcuterie boards, which they can't say properly anyway, or they'd be like, man, what's the little board with the cheese and the grapes and the crackers on it? Yeah.
Sharkeisha boards.
Yep. They
We coming to
Amazon even sell shark coochie boards because niggas don't know how to say the name properly, Joe.
Hey, we're getting to our last scene of this episode, the premiere episode, and this is when we get to the party where Meech and the boys, they walking in and they are stopped at the door. So Glock says, you ain't coming in. It's his order. And Meech is letting them know that, listen, Meech is in town. We not going nowhere. Detroit is here to stay. And as they tried to fire back saying, listen, you're not walking down south. Before that, I'm sorry. But anyway, while they're at the door, they're getting a whole bunch of Glock ain't letting them rock, but also Glock ain't there to confront him. So there's a little dynamic between Glock being the head guy, but not willing to show face. Got all his stooges in front of him. You know, that's why Meech is talking about him comping for something and whatnot. But after that, they're like, fine, listen, we gone. We're going to find a new place to go. It is what it is. But when that happens, after that happens, they are met out in the parking lot by Remy, who drops off a body, who happens to be Dice. And as he mentioned, you're not welcome down south. And this is when we realize the statement and the title of the episode that is Detroit versus everybody. And with everybody, that's him and his new family, his new boys that he got down in Atlanta. So that definitely wraps up all of the events of this episode. There wasn't a lot of major things in this episode, but it did really shift up into a new gear because BMF, as you know, definitely expands into something much bigger than just selling drugs. And as you saw in the beginning of the episode, talking about how they were flashy with the billboards, the two brothers being apart for some time, we have a lot to get to that point. So I thought it was really important for them to shift into the next gear, establish that this is going to be a little bit of a different season going into things, but also still having the danger, the drama, the action, all that stuff coming from all angles, whether it's happening in Detroit, whether it's happening in Atlanta, and with the highways being talked about, what other cities may come into place. I don't know them to have went to Texas, but he did mention major cities in terms of where this highways could go. So we may learn some new stories, new parts of the story that had not have been told or for fictional purposes for the show, because it is loosely based. They could add some things in there, and whatever's going to be, we're going to be here to talk about it, obviously. So do you have any closing thoughts on this episode?
Hey, nothing. Again, this is a good introduction episode.
Yeah.
It reintroduces you to the characters. That was the key part. And it establishes the main points that you should look forward to going forward. This with the MKs, with the Red Dogs, with Remy, or Double R's, I'm gonna call him because that Remy Ransom is crazy as a name. Double R, and how we get that established. And again, this mindset, and Meech says it perfectly at the end, me noticing that I can't operate this the way I normally do it because it's a different place. So he needed to understand and get to the point of understanding this ain't Detroit. So everything don't move the same way. This is Atlanta. This is a lot different, especially Atlanta back then. This is a hell of a lot different than anything that Detroit represented at that time. So we get to see Meech adapt and see how he moves forward with everything, along with seeing T adapt to now being the main man in Detroit.
Yep. I'm very excited for it. Folks, you know, if you're a fan of the channel here, you know we're going to be locked in for the entire season. You don't have to worry about that. We have tons of content. I can't even pinpoint you in what direction, when, where, who, what, why, but there is a lot of BMF content available and on the way. Because you know how we do with these shows. We put our whole foot in it, get you all the best and exclusive stuff that you all want, and we plan to do so once again for season 3. But with that being said, let's stick a fork in it. We'll be back for episode 2 next week. Thank y'all so much for tuning in for this. Like, subscribe, smash some things, whatever it may be, and we'll see y'all back in just 1 week for episode 2.